the earliest history that I know of was Elder Monty Bruff was serving in the 70 in Hong Kong, who was an avid hunter. He lives out of, I think it was Kaysville or Bountiful somewhere. And he would go to Mongolia to go hunting. And on one of his trips, I believe he was having dinner with a government official, just someone just talking. And I think they said, well, why don't you bring your missionaries here? And the Mongolian official kind of threw that out. And it was just, well, why don't we? And so they very quickly arranged this program with the church to send missionaries there. And they sent some senior couples there, what I believe would have been probably the fall of 2002, I think is my recollection, around that time frame. Send Elder Ebenezer Beasley was the first person to be there. He was a former assistant to the Quorum of the 12. And he and his wife, Sister Beasley, were there and began to grow the senior couple base there, and got 6 senior couples there when we arrived. So we arrived there the day I think it was the 6th member of the church was baptized, out in Totlik. And at this other time there was 6, actually there were 7 missionaries. 7 members, but one we didn't know about, who I can tell you about a little later. But so when we got there, it was 6 people. Branch was small. We probably had 20 people coming to church. We were meeting at the central library. And what began to happen is we'd go to school and teach our students, and we're very good about delineating school teaching and religious teaching. But inevitably we had people coming talking to us after school, or members bringing their friends. It was entirely a member-driven endeavor. I never knocked a door in my life. Never did any street contacting. I was street contacted. The members did all the work there, and they were open, humble, wonderful people, and not afraid to bring their friends to church. And so we saw some fantastic growth. I think when I left, there was about 300 members and 3 branches, I think, that were formed as we left. And the mission was formed, and then maybe 2 years ago, the first stake was formed. And it's been one of the fastest growing places for the church in the world. And per capita, actually, it has a very large number of members. Now, when you have 2.5 million people, it's not too hard to make a dent in that percentage, but there's a large percentage of members of the church, of Mongolians are members of the church, comparative to other areas. So it has grown very well. There's been some hiccups with the government pushing back on foreign entities coming into Mongolia, and the church has kind of been an unfortunate victim in that in certain ways, but nothing really aimed at the church. It was aimed at other organizations pushing into Mongolia. But there's been a great relationship with the church and Mongolia, and America and Mongolia. And so we've seen some fantastic growth. And one unique characteristic of Mongolia was that it had the distinction, I guess, separate from the U.S., but maybe including the U.S., of having more missionaries to leave from Mongolia than go into Mongolia. So many members came out of Mongolia to be missionaries on Temple Square, in Russia, in my parents' home ward in Sandy. It was not too uncommon to find a Mongolian serving somewhere. And they were very eager to get out and to serve with distinction in many of their missions, because many of them were trilingual, so you could really serve in a lot of different capacities. And when someone comes knocking on your door and says, hi, I'm a Mormon and a Mongolian, it gets your attention. They've never met a Mongolian before, especially a Mormon Mongolian. So in a lot of cases, the members were very successful, and some amazing people went out, and a lot came to the U.S. to study, and some stayed here, some went back, and grew the church quite a bit. And Mongolia only really has 3 cities, Ulaanbaatar, Darkhan, Irnet. The rest are small little small little towns, kind of drive through if you could drive through. There's no roads through these towns really in a lot of cases, but they've now got branches in most of these towns. And Ulaanbaatar has, the stake is based there, and the Irnet and Darkhan all have some decent branches. So the country really has a good foothold of members throughout the country.